I'm Emily Schultz, the author of The Blondes. You're listening to the 2026 remaster of The Blondes podcast.
Hello, I am Diane Goethe, founder of Engagement Media. Since our podcast network began, we've believed that presenting all sides to a story was our first and only mission. However, after our recent series on Hazel Hayes began airing, YouTube users have posted videos claiming that our perspective was biased. While we stand by the research and reporting of Jennifer Lim and Broad Strokes, we are listening to you and measuring the traffic we are not getting. In a gesture of open debate that will never be returned, we are now allowing Tim K. Rylander back on our network.
Jet fuel cannot melt my steel logic. Put your passports in the microwave, cause y'all are entering dark states. Big building, going up the stairs now. A lot of stairs, more doors. Look, we've been from the basement to the top floor of this building now. This is a school, people. What are they trying to pull on us? There are no clinics. I'm not seeing... It's just classrooms.
Hey.
Jesus.
Hey, you can't be in here.
I'm fine. Hey, don't touch me.
Don't you touch me! Get out! My neck! Oh! You can't stop! Oh, my ankle! God damn it! You cannot stop the truth! Freedom!
What y'all heard at the end of that tape was our team's confrontation with a rent of fascists as we investigated the so-called Women's Entry and Evaluation Center that so-called heroine Hazel Hayes claims to have been imprisoned at. Did he stop us? Hell no! I am Tim K. Rylander, and I'm the defender of amendments not even written yet! I've been punched in the face by 2 astronauts. I've been banned from every social platform except for Twitter. I have caused 3 measles outbreaks. Once, when the manager of a Bojangles told me, "Sir, this isn't the bathroom, please get dressed," I proved him wrong! Because I am the last free human in a world of androids! We're going to hear more from that investigation, as well as some new evidence about Hazel Hayes' very suspect ideological background and connections. First, and I hate to do this, but I have to give the mic over to our sponsor.
Were you prescribed Glycimex sometime in the last year? You may be entitled to compensation. Although the dangers of Glycimex for SHV prevention were known at the time, it was rushed to market. Glycimex is not a vaccine. It's a synthetic immunoglobulin derived from blood serum. Its use has been shown to lead to aggressive autoimmune disorders, permanent hair loss, sterility, and unlikable female protagonists. If you developed any of these symptoms while using Glycimex, our attorneys can help you fight for the financial peace of mind you need. We have recovered hundreds of millions of dollars for Glycimex victims in all 50 states. Call the law offices of Carlisle, Weedlin, and Caffey today for a free consultation. 1-800-SHV-COMP. Call 1-800-SHV-COMP. Now.
This week we are eviscerating the story of Hazel Hayes, and in fact, this entire fictional narrative of SHV. The Blonde Fury, aka Gold Fever, Suicide Blondes, or California Rabies. Now, we here at Dark States believe an illness exists that has affected women. We do not believe that a virus causes it. We know for a fact now it is caused by a toxin strategically placed in hair color kits. And Hazel Hayes, before she was cast in her crisis actor role, she was a student of Wanda Kovacs, a notorious professor at New York University. I promised you groundbreaking evidence. Here it is. Wanda Kovacs never before heard TED Talk. Why have you never heard it? Maybe because some truth seekers asked the wrong questions. I'm gonna play it, but I gotta warn you. You're gonna hear some uncut cultural Marxism.
Wanda Kovacs is the chair of gender studies at New York University and a visiting professor of film theory at USC. She is the author of the bestseller, The Blonde Inside Me. Please welcome her to TED Talks.
What does blonde mean in a world that associates it now with disease and random violence? Much has changed for some women, the privileged, but for the deep power structures, much has not. I always say that we can measure change and transformation through our pop culture. Take, for example, the shifting stage settings of the zombie genre. The zombie myth came out of the colonial plantation, a belief of Haitians that expressed the horror of forced labor and its effect on the body and mind. But in the 1940s, this was appropriated by Hollywood B-movie exoticism. It was George Romero who brilliantly used those tropes in his 1960s radical works. Take Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead, as the dead have come back from the far reaches of the empire, in this case Vietnam, or those left outside of mass consumerism. By the time of the blonde virus, the genre had been co-opted again, exported everywhere as the dominant American genre, just as the genocidal Western once was. So, the stage for the blonde rabies outbreak had already been set by a culture yearning for a fictional apocalypse. Yet women have always known the apocalypse. The female body has always been a historic battle site, especially for women of color and poor women. As you can see from horrific experiments in early gynecology or forced sterilization in Appalachia. Today, the control of trans women's bodies is not about public bathrooms, but the power to define gender according to the needs of patriarchy and capital. Here, see this photo of Mary Mallon. Given the name by the press, Typhoid Mary. She was an asymptomatic carrier of Salmonella typhi, also known as typhoid. She was also poor and Irish in 1906 and was jailed on the aptly named Brother Island for the entirety of her natural life, guilty of no crime other than being the anti-mother.
Good Lord! I gotta stop this for a minute. You know what I heard? Did you hear it? Typhoid Mary is a feminist icon. That is sick! Ugh! You know, I need y'all to go to Twitter right now. Hashtag cancel Kovacs. Yes, that's cancel with a C, Kovacs with a K. Y'all know. Ugh.
Guilty of no crime other than being the anti-mother, sowing illness, I draw your attention to these next few images
You
of...
said SHV was a gift from nature.
Those were never my words. They have been twisted by the right-wing media. And what I did say was also meant in the spirit of irony, which Americans consistently miss.
Interview in the Jacobin, September 8th.
Well, thank you for following my work on the internet. Perhaps you read it at the public library. I did not ever say the virus was a gift. I said that how we responded to it could be a gift. But obviously that has not happened in the last 2 years. So please now to return to look at the slide, which we will get to quicker without interruption. Women with shaved heads in rubber dresses, feasting on a prone Justin Bieber, splayed out in the meat section of a supermarket. And I remind you that this is an ad for a $6,000 raincoat by Moschino. Next slide. The front page of the Op Blonder. Huh? I see we have some users of this app. It was originally made so women could network with those of the same viral status, but ended up being used by men, hiring infected blonde women for what they called blonde dogging or blonde backing. I lost my husband to such behavior. So I personally know how SHV risk has been made a feature of blondness, not a bug. Blonde Bunker, natural supplement sold by conspiracy theorist Tim K Rylander, claiming to protect women from what really causes the illness. What that is changes depending on what he's selling. It's worth noting that the lunatic fringe is meeting with the political right for a simple reason. They have the same goal, the re-entrenchment of white supremacist culture.
Tell the truth about SHV.
I am merely a cultural critic, not a doctor. But if you so want the truth, you can read it anywhere. There's much emerging literature that it shows the privilege may be a factor. That's why you saw the first 3 outbreaks of the blonde virus at Coachella, Meghan McCain's bridal shower, and Art Basel, Miami. Because of that, our medical treatments for SHV have not been designed to service those not just afflicted, but also affluent. I don't mean to do a downer TED talk. This isn't TEDx. This is a real one. So I will say this is changing. This is why we need the drug subsidies to continue.
She's a shill for Gleesamax.
Yes, I am naturally blonde, so of course I use Gleesamax. I believe that it works, and in no way does that contradict my research. Just as my makeup and clothing do not compromise my feminism. Gleesamax is one of the sponsors of this talk, and I assume someone named Ted is as well.
You're on the board at Gleesamax. How much stock do you own?
This is outrageous. This is a completely sexist question. Zizek would never be questioned like that. I refuse to answer about my personal life or my finances in terms of these interesting intellectual questions which are completely unrelated to my identity. I cannot believe that this is being allowed to happen. Is there no security here? This is unacceptable.
Now, I have received documents, real documents that show immense conspiratorial threads. Document 1, Hazel Hayes' thesis abstract. Her advisor was Wanda Kovacs. This was filed the same week as the first attacks in New York City, people. The second document, an internal report from Gleesamax dated 5 years ago. It noted a downward trend in women using shaving products. They were also contracted to run the evaluation centers during the first year of the outbreak. Now, what if you got these contracts worth billions and had no patients? You'd make up a damn illness. Just like they did with AIDS, just like they did with SARS, just like they did with bipolar borderline personality disorder. Fuck you, Dr. Owens and everyone at Cross Creek Hospital. You can't change me. I am me. I am real. I am truth. Now, of course, if you're making up a tragedy like an international pandemic, you need to make up a hero too. Hazel Hayes was the perfect crisis actor. We're not talking Golden Globes or Spirit Award either. We're talking the good ones, BAFTA or SAG. We've looked into Hazel's personal life, and there's no doubt she would have benefited from Dark States Living's nutritional supplement products. Again, I hate to mention these, but we gotta keep putting this show out. For the ladies and men looking to score points with a really good Valentine's present, y'all hop on over to darkstatesliving.com right now. For general, everyday health, we recommend Venus Vitality. It's got all the good stuff. Bee pollen, stevia, jojoba, and here's the heavy lifter. Bone broth harvested from eagles. Not the bird, no, that would be unpatriotic. But the deceased members of the band, the Eagles. Order this one now for only $148. Listen up. If you think you're at risk for exposure to the toxins that cause SHV, you've got the blonde hair, natural or bleach, the next one is your magic bullet. Blonde Bunker. It's got bee pollen, stevia, jojoba, and our exclusive estrogen pro-teaser compound. This is a serious illness, so I'm not making claims here. But our estrogen pro-teaser is only found in a single shrub in the Himalayas tended by a group of blind 1,000-year-old monks. And it's just soybeans. Subscribe to the monthly deal, strongly suggested by our in-house medical team, and it's only $138. Our supplements are not cheap, but neither is freedom. I know you're saying, Tim K., I'm like 50% of Americans under house arrest for non-payment of child support, so I listen to your show as free entertainment. You may not know this, but podcasts cost a lot of money to make. Hundreds of thousands for every episode, especially for Dark States, as our entire studio is 3D printed and things are breaking all the goddamn time, people. So when you buy these supplements, not only are you saving your life, every dollar goes back into the show and our research. Go to darkstatesliving.com now and enter the promo code Hazel Hayes is the lying Jezebel of the deep state, one word, and you'll get free shipping from USPS. Now, back to our investigation. As I said, those women's evaluation centers, sound stages. The patients choreographed by Busby Benghazi. I know because we went to the one Hazel Hayes said she was held at. You heard a little bit at the top of the show. Here's what she said went on in the basement.
That sound? It's room 3. When women break with the fever, they're taken there. It's called isolation, but we all know it's something worse, because no one comes out. That's why I'm alone down here. They gave me the job of cutting off the hair of the new patients. Then I bring the hair down to burn it in the furnace. They don't know if it's infectious material or not. It flares up real quick and bright, leaving behind that singed smell. That smell is with me even when I'm making these recordings.
Again, here's the basement as we found it only 1 year later. We're in the basement now, and here are the gym doors. The infamous room 3. Okay, opening the door. I'm looking in, and I see a basketball court. Get a piece of this wall here. Brian, hand me that. Yeah, right there. I'm now making a sample of the wall. I'll give this to a research scientist I know from Best Buy, and he'll be able to tell us what went on here. We're in the furnace room. This is where Hazel said she was in charge of burning the hair of the patients. One second. There are what seem like fine filaments on the floor. I'm looking at them closely. fine, Brian. This isn't hair at all. I tasted them now. That's how confident I am. This is very hair-like, but something synthetic. An excellent job on faking hair. Hollywood quality, disgusting, inedible burnt hair. No, Brian, I can eat it. I can do whatever I want because I'm a big boy. I'm the boss. And this ain't hair. No hair. I don't have any. I can still feel that stink on me. That was our incursion into what they called the We Center. Was there a cleanup operation? Or was there nothing there to begin with and they backstopped it? Left things messy, so we thought it was a cleanup operation. One way or another, we're gonna find out. But what terrifies me, what horrifies me, is how central Hazel Hayes is turning out to be the deeper we dig. She's the grassy knoll, people. She's the man with the umbrella. She might even be patient zero. Listen to this, folks. A never-before-heard excerpt from the Hazel tapes.
When I got back to the apartment I was staying at, there was a notice on the door that the CDC had visited. They were tracking down every person on my flight for observation. And I'm ashamed to say it, but, it's probably because of my commitment issues from growing up with a single mother, but I ghosted the Center for Disease Control. I didn't know they were interested in me specifically, and I probably shouldn't have done that. I keep thinking that there's something weird about me, and they knew it. Here, the doctors say that I'm positive but asymptomatic, and that's why they won't let me leave.
You see it now. See? Hazel was in on it from the beginning. A vector of lies. She claims she was pregnant during her time at We. Was that fake too? Thanks to a Freedom of Information lawsuit, we received documents from her congressional testimony, and we learned her current address. And we went through her garbage. We opened her old takeout containers, and we ate the Shake Shack leftovers because I have no boundaries! None! That's why you love me! That's why I am invincible! We also learned that her phantom baby daddy, the husband of Wanda Kovacs, is conveniently deceased. Died in a blonde attack. Were they all involved in some kind of sick Rosemary's Baby ritual? Ugh! No one has seen that child after all. Once, and sometimes twice a day, Hayes went to the Gleason Max office in Forest Hills, sometimes accompanied by... wait for it. Wanda Kovacs! Is it not clear by now? Are we to believe these are all random, painful events affecting one young woman trying to navigate a world in crisis where the odds are stacked against her gender? Or are they scenes from a baroquely woven plot of crisis actors? The answer is the most logical and simple when you take a minute to think about it. It's because a coven of elite pagan witches will stop at nothing in their goal to eradicate men and bring forth a female Antichrist. I call her Anti-Christine. That's right. This goes deeper than government contracts. They got their false flag operation, a war on women to generate sympathy. They're creating viruses that turn women into killers. According to the New York Times, scientists can fertilize a human embryo with no sperm. They don't even want our sperm anymore. What am I gonna do with all this unwanted sperm? Keep it in vacuum-sealed packages, all viscous, gooey, and wandist? No! It must be used! I must revitalize my sacs and create new healthy sperm and flagellum! This is a gender coup by bromicidal maniacs. One world under the breasts of Baphomet. But we're not there yet. It's not too late. God, I'm so lonely. She left. Brian.
Tim, are you okay? Is this real?
Oh, Brian, I'm burning up. Give me bee pollen, stevia, jojoba.
Should we call 911?
Turn the mic off. Do you smell that? Do you smell the hair? You smell that hair?
You've been listening to The Blondes, based on the novel by Emily Schultz. This episode was performed by Madeline Zima, Rob Belushi, Cecilia Corrigan, Helen Hong, and Carson Elrod. It was written by Brian J. Davis, Emily Schultz, and Cecilia Corrigan. It was directed by Duncan Birmingham. Duncan Birmingham was executive producer and Jenny Gray's consulting producer. Music for the series was composed by Old Father. Editing and sound design was by Brian J. Davis. The Blondes is now available from Picador Books.